Jenny-Jaymes and our sidekick Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is Two Queers at a Truck time, and we are broadcasting for the first show of March. It's already March, and we are rocking and rolling. And it's been a busy year, you know. It's clipped along, just like we hoped, and we set our intentions in January and said we hope this year goes by like a blur. And it literally has. It's almost going by too fast.
It's a fourth way through. Is that incredible?
That's just
wow.
It's just kind of bizarre that we're already. I mean, we're recording this in February, but it's going to be quite a ways into March by the time that this hits the airwaves.
Wow.
And it's just bizarre. But we'll get right into the thing because I ran behind this morning and. Had some technical difficulties, but yeah, you know, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, that's just getting in constant hot water. There's another report that at one time, just a few years ago, he took a huge contribution from a company called American Ethane, and you would think that would be probably a normal thing. But it's the fact that 88% of that company is owned by 3 Russian investors.
Oh.
And the fact that he has fought aid to Ukraine, both as a member of the House, he's voted against it every time, but he's now holding up the $60 billion package to continue funding the Ukraine's resistance against Russian aggression. And the NATO and EU is going, what's the holdup? Like, we're contributing money to we don't want to get invaded. We know if Putin sweeps through the Ukraine, he's not going to stop there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in Poland and Germany, and they're all beefing up their militaries because a European war is coming if we surrender the Ukraine. It's not about just saving the Ukraine, even though the Ukraine's a democracy in Europe and we want to preserve democracy in Europe. But if the war gets expanded, we're going to have to jump in. We're part of NATO. Like, we're pledged to defend. We've got military bases in Europe. Like, we're not going to just sit there and go, oh, that's great. He's sweeping. Like, it's not going to happen like World War II did. And we let Hitler get deep into Europe before we did anything. That's impossible. That would be literally suicide for us, and economic suicide. That's why Sweden petitioned to join NATO, and countries that typically don't pick a side in Europe are picking a side. Finland, Sweden, the list goes on, and the European balance of power is a choice between democracy, NATO, and the EU and our allies for 100 years, or Putin trying to not only grow back the original Soviet Union, but probably set its sights on the entirety of Europe. And that's a scary thing. That's, you know, the fact that we don't have to send troops to stop him. We can just send the money now. We spend 20 times more of this on our defense. This is defending our country. And we don't have a choice on whether we're going to defend Europe or not. The question is, are we going to defend it now, or are we going to defend it later when it's going to cost us trillions of dollars and a major economic depression because the whole world jumps into a war? I don't think China won't get aggressive if Russia does. Not that they're working together, but it'd be the perfect time to attack Taiwan if Russia did a deep invasion in Europe, because they know we're going to send all of our resources to Europe, just stone cold stop them. And it doesn't make sense. I haven't seen a Republican argument why not to send money. They're saying we're broke. I'm like, we're not broke. We borrow a lot of money, but we also make a lot of money. And like, y'all spent like we had money to burn for Iraq and Afghanistan for absolutely no reason. And you rubber stamped everything crazy Dick Cheney wanted to do. But you won't defend the Ukraine and Europe and our longstanding allies and trading partners. So yeah, I mean, Mike Johnson taking money from Russian oligarchs is no big deal. A funny story out of Montana. So there's this guy named Matt Rosedale that I believe is a sitting congressman, and he was running for Senate, the Republican nomination for the Senate, and he dropped out this week. Sources revealed that 63-year-old Matt Rosedale impregnated a 20-year-old staffer. Now, we'll repeat, 63-year-old Matt Rosedale, Republican, party of family values, I guess decided, one, he was going to have unprotected sex with a 20-year-old. Make that make sense. This girl was a teenager 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This young lady is 20 years old, probably a college kid, probably an intern. Same political party that went crazy with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky in the 1990s. I mean, it's a dude 63. And another side note on that, Matt Gaetz commented, he said, dude, she's a little too old for you. But, I like them a little younger or a lot. But, one, at 63, why wouldn't you have a vasectomy? Mm-hmm. What's the point of shooting live ammo at that age? So by the time she has the baby, he'll be 64. By the time that turns 18, he'll be 82 if he's still alive. So he'll be a grandpa raising a toddler. But at the same time, they want to make eggs and embryos in Alabama. Well, they did. The court ruled in Alabama that they're people. Mm-hmm. This week. Said, oh yeah, eggs are now people. If you fertilize them and you keep them in a lab under a freezer, now they're not in anybody. They're not baking. They're just basically frozen dough, more or less human dough. They're a couple little cells sitting in a little dish, frozen, waiting. And they now gave them legal personhood. So does it mean you get to write them off on their taxes? Do you get to pick up names? Do they get birth certificates? Like is it going to be an embryo certificate or a fetus certificate when they become a fetus, and then a birth certificate for live births? Like, is there going to be 3 different certifications? Like, how does that work? How does that work if you have 30 of them? I mean, they made it so dangerous for doctors and clinics that do IVF. So people freeze these for a lot of different reasons, struggles with getting pregnant, setting these up, because they may not be completely ready to start a family, but they know in 2 or 3 years they're going to want to try, and they've had a history of not being able to do that. Maybe they're about to go under a major cancer treatment or something that possibly may sterilize the male end of this equation. There's a lot of things that why people do this. This is a very common IVF is a very common practice. I have friends that have gone through it. I've had friends that use surrogates because they're a same-sex couple and they get an embryo and do the IVF and impregnate the surrogate. It's a huge practice. And from a party that's completely trying to shut down abortion and contraception, you can do the opposite because every IVF clinic in Alabama suspended operations because if they kill even one embryo by accident, like they have a power outage, anything, they can be arrested. The clinic, everybody working in the clinic can be arrested for murder now in Alabama. So yeah, the Republican Party is geniuses. That we're up against our first break, and we'll be back with some more Two Queers in the Truck.
Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueappliedtech.com, and you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs, we have pillow covers. We have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy. And it's great fun, and it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
Exactly.
Here,
that's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, applied APPLIED Tech, like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our store is on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of great gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs. And most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive.
Cool.
So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. Happy Pride.
But it's just bizarre how they work against their own interests. They don't. I literally don't think they understand medical, and I don't think lawyers and politicians should be making those kind of decisions. And judges like they went to law school, not medical school, and no embryos, eggs. That's like saying the eggs you buy in the store are actual chickens. So why don't we put eggs in the chicken meat department? There's a reason. They're not chickens. They're eggs. They're frozen eggs. They're refrigerated eggs. Dum-dums. Panhandle of Texas is literally on fire. So much so that the governor of Texas has Hot Wheel Abbott is declared over 60 counties a disaster area or a state of emergency. So yeah, there's no climate change in Texas. And 60 counties. I'm not making light of this. I have tons of friends and family, and then the place I moved from was in the Panhandle of Texas before I moved here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, I'm trying to figure out what's burning because there's no trees in the Panhandle of Texas. So it must be grass fires. I don't know, but it's they've had some drier than usual, and it's very dry out there anyway. It's been a tough winter for them. And out west, of course, we're about to get into wildfire season, like we seem like we're doing every year now. And the panhandle of Texas is no different. And climate change has affected jet stream and so many other things. Many parts of the Midwest, these last few weeks of February, have experienced up to 40 degrees warmer than normal temperatures, like Chicago, and places that are having late spring weather, like 60 degree, 70-degree days, when they normally don't hit that till late April or early May. Like these are cold weather states with frozen lakes, and they are seeing spring weather. We now have a climate reality of a changed climate, and it's just scary. But yeah, the panhandle winds are really whipping up. A lot of it's being affected by El Nino and a bunch of other things, and it's kind of scary. And I actually had a friend last night send me a video of the fires near where they were working, and you could see the smoke. You could see it was a hellish landscape. It looked, even from a distance, it was not pretty. And for people that have breathing problems and things of that nature, or allergies, especially smoke allergies, this is not going to be a fun time. Many people are leaving to get away from it because it compromise their health. So it's a major, major issue. And we've spent 50 years knowing we needed to combat climate change, especially in this century. After all the warnings, after all the stuff that Al Gore said in the 90s, we still are just dragging our feet and just going, hey, let's burn tons of oil and gas, and let's just, no big deal. We'll fix it when we get there, And we would have spent trillions of dollars on our cities not going under the ocean when we melt the polar caps. Like, we act like it's not going to happen. We literally act like it's just fiction. It's just something from a movie. It's never going to happen. And somehow the Rock is going to swing from some helicopter and prevent all this. And, like a Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise and baby Jesus are going to wear a tuxedo shirt and fly down from the heavens and just fix all this. And it's, well, we're declaring eggs in Alabama as people, it's just like, do the Republicans ever get anything right? Is it even possible for them to get anything correct? When's the last time a Republican's been right about anything? I'm trying to think when a Republican's actually been spot on any policy. Arizona GOP advances a bill legalizing shooting undocumented migrants trespassing on land, and not breaking into somebody's home, not trying to Jenny-Jaymes their car, not defending personal property, like they can do just wandering on an Arizona ranch, just trying to cut through. They don't have to be migrants. How do you even know they're migrants?
Exactly. I mean, how would they know that?
And they would literally are basically, no, straight up, they are literally one step from giving hunting license for migrants. That's where they are in Arizona. Instead of deer and elk, they're going to be hunting migrants. And you all know Arizona's full of religious rednecks. I've got family there too. And they're going to be out there with their rifles, scoping up migrants, just poor people just trying to get to civilization. probably hungry, probably thirsty, probably sick, probably just broken down, homeless, countryless, probably don't speak English, and they're gonna sanction and make it legal. They're gonna legalize shooting people. That, what could go wrong with that? What could possibly go wrong with legalizing shooting people? These are people. You can call them migrants, you can call them illegals, you can call them whatever. They're human beings. Our number one rule of our society is thou shalt not kill. Goes back to Moses, goes back to tablets, it goes back to everything that every religion and every society holds common. Is one rule in sociology that makes you a society is you have to have a rule, thou shalt not kill, to protect each other and to live near each other. These people are our neighbors. These people are poor people. They're not here to invade the United States and replace white people. These aren't people that got a golden, engraved invitation from Biden and Harris to, come up here and, live the big life. They're not going to come here and take your job. If they can take your job, you got to rethink your career. At that point, like, what kind of job are you doing that somebody completely broken and busted and so afraid for their life has to walk thousands of miles, knowing they're coming to a country that has lots of people that are hostile towards foreigners with a history of xenophobia, and they still come anyway? What do we not get? There's got to be a solution somewhere between figuring out how to accommodate them. But I don't think giving people hunting licenses, the license to kill to civilians. I don't want the police and border patrol don't even have the right to do that, nor should they. I'm not going to give the military. What happened to the American dream? What happened to, if you get here, you can pursue the American dream? Is that just not good for brown people? For poor people? Is that just rich Russian oligarchs and their mistresses? Like, is it they can come here and buy a house in Miami and become a dual citizen? But if you don't have no money and we think you're gonna replace us, we get to shoot you. Like, how did we get from there? How did we get from the American dream to literally giving hunting licenses to shoot people just because we think they might be invading our country? Maybe, possibly. But what happens when you get it wrong? But we are up against our second break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey, thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. And Christian and I just blathering on about craziness in the world today. Y'all be safe out there. There is a lot of Republicans on the road.
That's right.
Have a good week out there.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
Tesla workers, not Tesla workers, Tesla, to celebrate Black History Month, contracted with a company in California called Giving Pies, and they make these cute little mini pies. And they originally ordered 2,000 of them. The owner then, after she agreed to make them, sent them an invoice, and then she didn't hear anything, and then they kind of drug their feet. Now, Tesla's a multi-billion-dollar company, almost $1 trillion company. These are like little basic pies. And then they contacted her back and said, we want to double the order. Can you do that? And do a rush order. And she did. So she staffed up. She worked a whole weekend and produced 4,000 pies for them. At the very last moment, they said, we're not going to pay. We cancel the order. This is after all this, after all the ordering, all the staffing up, paying people to be there. They canceled the order. They're going to stiff rate $16,000 worth of mini pies. But they just said, eh. And this is a woman of color that owns this business. And I draw a parallel because there's 3 different class action suits with the EEOC over Tesla mistreating workers of color and having one section of their plants called the plantation where all the black employees work in. And now they do this. Now, supposedly, it's not been verified yet, they're going to pay her anyway. As they should. It's $16,000. They don't even sell a car that's $16,000. Their cheapest model is like $30,000 or $40,000. Like, these Teslas are expensive. And you would think in this modern era, with one of the major owners of it being Elon Musk, that he's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, at least on paper. And the owner of the Twitter machine, that I don't know, 16 grand seems like walking around flash money for somebody like that. Like well, the raw materials of a Tesla cost more than that. And you just go, very Trumpian of it. Very Trumpian of Tesla, where you do business.
Hey, it looks like Elon Musk did say he would make it right, and he paid 2,000.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, and that's exactly what Trump does to small contractors that build his sleazy golf motels. This guy, I'm like, you could stop working tomorrow. Elmo could stop making money and completely withdraw from the economy. And he couldn't spend that money if he lived like a regular person for like 75,000 or 80,000 years and just live comfortably. Don't think he's going to make it 80,000 years. He literally, he's too rich to fail. Like, he bought Twitter, and then the way he's running, it's devalued it to about a third of the price. It's worth maybe 16, 19 billion. What did he pay? 54 billion, 44 billion. Well, I think he used other people's money too, which they should be proud of the investment they made in Twitter or X or whatever they decided to call it. But can you imagine? Here's $2,000 for your troubles. I don't even think that covered the cost. But if it did, like, yeah, thanks. She's not in business to be a nonprofit. Well, what does that say about what he thinks of people of color, subcontractors, and people that just aren't as wealthy as him? It pretty much says everything. And those pies look good. I saw a picture of them. I was like, oh, I'd take a few of those little mini pies myself. I wouldn't have stiffed it. I would have said, send them pies over. I'd take one of each. Florida's Surgeon General defied a federal guideline on the measles, especially with vaccinations, and told parents of Florida schools, even if your kids are unvaccinated, go ahead and send them. No big deal. They're safe. Now, measles by the numbers, when you're unvaccinated against the measles, and this comes from a doctor, typically 20% of everybody who contracts measles will end up in the hospital. 1 out of 5. In 5 to 10%, they either end up getting permanent deafness, long-term effects, and other things that go with it. And there's a high probability of death. It's like 3 in 1,000. And there's way more than 1,000 kids in Florida public schools. Just that one school we talked about last week had 116, 114 unvaccinated kids in one elementary school. Because Florida is the state of COVID conspiracies and anti-vaxxers. They've been this way a long time. And so there is a high unvaccinated rate for things like the measles. Like, who doesn't take their kid to a doctor to get the MMR shots? They're free. Like, so because of people like us, 15 states this winter has now had the measles outbreak. And it's resurging all over the world. And it's because of this low rent mentality. We spent decades wiping out the measles and rubella. And now these mouth breathers just want to bring it back. I know I'm not seeing the benefit. I'm not seeing the selling point of going, as somebody that's parented and raised kids, most people wouldn't even treat their fur babies, their puppies and kitties like this. Like, you go and get all the vaccinations that dogs and cats need. Usually spay and neuter them if you need to. You do all the things that make them a healthy pet. Yep, there's 11% of Floridians parents that the 11% of the kids in Florida schools are vaccinated against measles. Not COVID, not anything else, not the swine flu or the Chinese flu or whatever they call it. They're not vaccinated against the measles. I'm vaccinated against the measles. Everybody probably that's been born since 1950 has probably been vaccinated. I don't know when they started measles vaccinations, but I do know I got 3 different rounds of MMR shots because it's on my shot record. Like, just little common sense things. Nobody wants the measles. I remember in the late 80s or early 90s, Lubbock, Texas had a measles outbreak, especially on the Texas Tech campus. And I think it was only like 1 or 2 students got it. They literally shut down the campus. A school of like 30, 40,000 people, students, and they shut down a whole campus for a while because of this measles outbreak until they figured out where the source was. Like, it's not real. It's not rocket science. And the person who's doing this is the Surgeon General of Florida and also a DeSantis appointee. So there you go. Like Dr. Dick Suckers strikes again, and I can't imagine what our country would be like if we ended up with him as president.
Crazy.
His campaign. Can you imagine if his campaign caught fire?
Mm.
I guess he'd have all the military wearing the little white sissy boots with lifts in them too. Like, wow. But that is the end of our show, and it's been a short but sweet one because of my scheduling problems. And we will be back next week with some more Two Queers in a Truck. Y'all stay safe out there, especially my friends and loved ones in the Panhandle of Texas. Bye, babe.
Bye, boo.
Yep. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. Y'all stay safe out there. It's been pretty crazy. And we'll see you next week. Bye, babe.
Bye, boo.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying there. So enjoy the Two Queers in a Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, bye. Happy 5.